At the beginning of the story, we see a spoiled rich man named Johnny who is always chasing after girls day and night. He has no shortage of money, just too much mischief. He says hi to someone in the morning. In the afternoon, he takes someone else out for a stroll, and at night, he traps a third girl in the web of love and enjoys storms and earthquakes with her. Then he sits in the club and tells these romantic stories to his friends as if he has returned after winning a trophy. He proudly says, "Give me any girl, I can charm her in a moment and take her to my room." Then one of his friends, Fabio, jokingly says, "You're about to be 50 years old. Leave this wild life and look for a mature and serious girl and get married." Johnny replies, "Don't worry about it if you say, I can even flirt with your wife." And from these words of his, we get to know what level of mischievous person he is. His carelessness is even more visible when his mom passes away and he arrives late to her funeral. His twin brother Carlo, who lived with their mom, knew everything about Gianni's antics. He says, "At least say a prayer for mom," but he has no interest in even saying a final prayer for his mom. Carlo gives up and gives him the keys to their mom's house, saying, "Take out all your things that are in mom's house." After this, Gianni reaches his mom's house and sits in her wheelchair looking at some old pictures. Then he turns on his mom's radio and starts listening to a song at high volume. Meanwhile, hearing the sound of the radio, a girl named Alessia, who lives in the neighborhood, comes there and seeing Johnny sitting in the wheelchair, assumes he is handicapped. Johnny is a little startled to see her, so Alessia says, "I live in the neighborhood," and came to check after hearing the radio sound. "By the way, I work helping people like you who are physically handicapped." Gianni understands that she thinks he is handicapped, but Alessia is so beautiful that Gianni immediately starts acting. To gain her sympathy, he says that "My mother has passed away and I miss her a lot. That's why sometimes I come here to remember her." Seeing his innocence, Alessia's heart starts feeling more sympathy for him and says, "I live nearby. If you ever need any help, just ring the doorbell." But Johnny is a #1 mischievous person from inside. He talks to Alessia very innocently, but his eyes were a little too naughty. Then after she leaves, Johnny returns to his real self and starts feeling happy that Alessia is amazingly beautiful, and now he has a new opportunity. But even though Johnny's character is loose, his business was quite big. He was the owner of a successful shoe company named High Speed. But his carelessness and overconfident attitude are clearly visible in the office too. During a corporate meeting, the company's intern Julia says that we should design shoes for disabled people and this will open a new market. But Gianni doesn't like this innovation. A girl giving him an idea hurts his ego and he angrily fires Julia right then. Gianni's real passion was increasing closeness with a new girl every time. After this, he again reaches his mom's house and, acting handicapped, meets Alessia and says, "I am alone at home, so it would be great if we could talk over coffee or wine for some time." Alessia agrees, and now Johnny has to make coffee. But continuing the wheelchair drama, he has to work hard. Alessia comes to help him, seeing him. But even there, Johnny doesn't hesitate to enjoy his mischievousness. Then, during the conversation, he says that "I am unmarried and looking for a life partner." Alessia says that she helps handicapped people, but wants to date a successful man and doesn't like being in one relationship for too long. Now, Gianni understands that his drama can only get him Alessia's sympathy, not love. He immediately reveals his identity, saying, "Actually, I am the owner of High Speed Company, which has many branches." But despite having millions in property, he is a handicapped man and lacks a life partner. Hearing this, Alessia says, "If you come to our village farmhouse on Sunday, it would be great. My whole family lives there. Meeting them will make you very happy." Johnny immediately agrees, and as soon as Sunday comes, reaches the place told by Alessia. Now as he reaches near the house, Alessia's dog comes and ruins all his flowers. But at the right time, Alessia comes and handles the dog. Then she takes him and introduces him to her family. There, Alessia introduces him to her grandmother, who herself was breathing with the help of an oxygen tank. Then, after a little while, a girl named Chiara comes there. Seeing whom, Gianni's heart starts leaping with joy. He thinks, "Today I've hit a double lottery." But the very next moment, when Chiara gets down from the wheelchair and comes into the house, his mood is devastated. Actually, Alessia had called him not for herself, but to introduce him to her sister, Chiara. Now poor Gianni was trapped in his own net, and now he couldn't even get up and leave. So he is forced to continue acting. Then, after everyone eats together, Chiara tells Johnny about herself, that she is a musician, plays the violin, and also plays paraplegic tennis. Johnny is listening, but his mind is elsewhere, thinking what trouble he has gotten into. After this, we see that Johnny goes to the club and tells the whole story to his friends. Friends start laughing that you think you are the king of flirting. If you charm this wheelchair girl and show us, then we will believe you are truly an expert. Now Johnny's ego gets hurt and he makes a bet saying, okay, I will charm her and send you all the photo. On the other hand, Alessia goes to Johnny's mom's house, meets his brother Carlo, and says, your brother is a very good person. Despite being handicapped, he helps people so much. Carlo knew that Gianni always plays some new drama, so he doesn't tell Alessia the truth. Then a few days later, Chiara suddenly reaches Gianni's office, so Gianni has to immediately start the wheelchair drama. Chiara doesn't understand anything and says, today is my tennis match. If you come to watch, I will be very happy. Gianni agrees and, sitting in the wheelchair, reaches there. The match starts, seeing Chiara's confidence and talent. For the first time, Gianni feels a little respect for her in his heart. He falls into thought that this girl is truly amazing, but he also remembered that he had to win the bet with his friends. Then a few days later, Gianni goes to another city in Italy. There a big music concert starts, where Chiara is playing the violin with her group. There are many people in the entire auditorium, and as the performance ends, people start clapping and everyone praises Chiara's performance. Then after the concert, Gianni takes Chiara to a restaurant for dinner. He was thinking that he would tell Chiara the truth, but was also afraid that if he told the truth, she would leave him, so he stays quiet for now. Now, during dinner, Gianni cannot manage his wheelchair properly, seeing which Chiara gets a little suspicious. But then she convinces herself because now she had really started liking him. She started feeling that Alessia had introduced her to a good life partner. Then after dinner, when both reach outside the hotel, Johnny smiles and says, "What about one last drink in your room?" Chiara thinks for a little while and says yes. Then reaching the room, both start talking and come close and start kissing each other. Chiara had true love in her heart, but for Gianni, everything was just part of a bet. And when he tries to go a little further, Chiara stops him, saying she has to wake up early tomorrow morning. Now Johnny's plan fails and he says okay and leaves. Then we see the scene of the next day where Johnny still doesn't give up his old habits. Whenever he gets a chance, he doesn't delay flirting with some other girl. Meanwhile, Chiara, who had come to believe this relationship was true, happily thanks her sister Alessia and says, "You have introduced me to a true companion, and Johnny is a very good person." Then the next day, Johnny calls and invites Chiara to his mansion for dinner. Chiara happily wears a beautiful dress and arrives, and seeing the house's interior and luxury lifestyle, her eyes light up. Now during dinner, she tells about her past, that when I was 16 years old in a car accident, both my legs became useless. But my violin, kept on the car seat, was perfectly fine. Then I felt that this was God's signal that I have to do something big in life. And from then on, I decided to make violin my passion. Gianni quietly keeps listening and realizes that Chiara is completely innocent and her love is true too. But the devil inside him was still alive, and he was playing the whole game only to win his bet. By now, his whole game had succeeded, and Chiara had also come completely under his control. Now Gianni had set up a system in the room where pressing a remote button would start filling the whole room with water, and in a little while, the whole room would become a swimming pool. After this, both swimming slowly come closer to each other, and then their lips meet. And in this way, Gianni succeeds in his mission. For him, this was nothing new. But for Chiara, this was a true feeling. A little later, as soon as he gets the chance, Gianni takes a romantic picture with Chiara and immediately sends it to his friends. After this, we see the club scene, where Gianni proves himself again as a flirting expert in front of his friends, and feels proud as if he has won the World Cup. Now he even stops talking to Chiara because what he wanted, he had gotten. Now his attention turns to his own friend Fabio's wife, Ragazza, and he traps her too with his words. But one day, when accidentally a wine glass breaks from Ragazza's hand, Gianni gets angry and tells her to leave the house. Now he had returned to his old antics, but somewhere he was realizing that he had played with a true heart by lying. Because of this, one day he himself calls Kiara and says, I need to meet you to talk about something. Kiara very normally invites him to her home to talk. After reaching there, Kiara smiles seeing him and then starts playing a sweet tune on her violin. Gianni keeps looking at her and starts feeling guilty inside. He was thinking that this time he would tell the truth that he is not handicapped, but he is afraid that Kiara might leave him forever. Now Kiara had already accepted him as her life partner, and here she kisses him with love. Gianni's heart was also now leaning towards her, but his lie was not going to stay hidden for long. And because of this, one day, Gianni's brother Carlo goes to Alessia's house with a bouquet in hand and tells her all the truth about his brother. Hearing this, Alessia angrily reaches Gianni's place and slaps him hard and says, I have never seen a trashy man like you in my life. I have found out everything about you. Now you will go and apologize to my sister. Saying this, she starts leaving angrily. Then Gianni goes behind her, trying to explain that I have really started loving Kiara, but I am afraid to tell the truth, worried that she might distance herself from me forever. Alessia says, if that's the case, then you go and talk yourself. But remember, for what you did, the handicapped one is not my sister, but you and your pathetic character. Saying this, she leaves, and these words hit Gianni's heart. He realizes that playing a false game with true love was not right. Now the story takes a new turn from here, where now Gianni reaches his dad. And surprisingly, in his time, his father was also like Gianni, meaning Gianni's dad was also a master of flirting with women and girls all his life. And that habit ruined him so much that in the end, he left his own wife alone. But when Gianni tells him his problem, his dad becomes very serious and says, the biggest mistake of my life was leaving your mother. If you ever get true love from a girl, don't let it go in any condition, because true love doesn't come in everyone's fate. Meanwhile, there is an announcement there that a special tour is going to the Catholic Church in the city, where the holy water cures many people's disabilities. Hearing this, Gianni gets an idea that he will also go to that church, and Kiara will think that everything got fixed by the miracle of holy water. After this, he calls Kiara and says, will you come with me to the church tomorrow where many disabled people are going? Kiara says yes without thinking, but Alessia tries to stop her, saying that man is not right for you. But Kiara says, I knew from the start that Gianni is not handicapped, but I felt a truth inside him, and I am looking for that same thing. I am sure he will understand my true love and change himself one day. Alessia asks, if one day he tells you the truth, what will you do? Kiara replies, that day I will say goodbye to him forever. After this, we see the scene of the next day where the journey by bus starts, and many disabled people join in. Everyone's heart has the same hope that maybe my trouble will go away after going there. Gianni also sees everything and realizes that by acting handicapped, he has been playing with so many people's emotions. After this, when everyone reaches in front of the church father looks carefully towards Gianni and for some reason calls him inside. Then going inside, the father says, miracle happens here only when God himself wishes. As a father, listen to me. And without getting up, go outside in that same wheelchair so that people's faith is not hurt. Gianni does the same and quietly goes out. But here, something else was written in the pages of fate. A little later, Kiara is crossing the road outside the church, and suddenly a truck speeds towards her. Gianni, seeing this, immediately goes there and saves Kiara. Now Kiara is surprised, wow, a miracle really happened with you. But the very next moment, tears come to her eyes, because now everything was clear that Gianni's every character was false. Then with a broken heart, she sits in the bus and leaves with the other people, and Gianni is left watching like a guilty person. He somehow returns, but after this, his life starts falling apart. His friend Fabio gets very angry at him because he had found out the truth that Gianni had also misbehaved with his wife, and the other friends are also very upset with him. Now Gianni becomes completely alone, and perhaps during this time, the humanity inside him was returning. He goes to his mother's grave and becomes very sad, telling the condition of his heart. Then going to the office, he tells his assistant to call back that intern named Julia who wanted to make shoes for specially abled people. And then he makes that same Julia the product manager of the company and launches special shoes for physically handicapped people. After this, hoping for forgiveness, he goes to Kiara, who was still on miracle tours by bus. He gets on the bus and starts apologizing to Kiara. But Kiara replies, whether you call me handicapped or sick, it doesn't matter to me. However I am enough for myself, and my life doesn't need a fake person like you. Hearing this, Gianni quietly comes back from there because now everything was over. Now he started hating himself, and only memories of Chiara came to him all the time. Then one day, while jogging, he suddenly falls to his knees tired, and his breathing becomes heavy. Then Chiara appears in front of him and, smiling, extends her hand to help him up. In that moment, Gianni understands how important it is for a person's life to feel true love and emotions, and this was a test for him through which he could now feel himself as a living heart and a true person. Now Gianni and Chiara become perfect and true companions for each other because true love had now made a selfish man into a right person. Now at the end of the story, we see that Gianni and Chiara are going to get married, and overjoyed, Gianni lifts Chiara in his arms and starts dancing. And with this scene, the story ends right here. So friends, I hope you really liked this story.